This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West Podcast with your hosts, Brandon Cook, Nick Harrington, and Travis Foch.
Well, 42 games into the Griffins season, and they have 69 points on the season.
Nice.
There we go. That's what I was expecting. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back to the Hockeytown West Podcast, everybody. Your source for everything Grand Rapids Griffins and Toledo Walleye hockey. Before we jump into this week's games, talking about all three of these Griffins games, and boy, there's a lot to talk about with these games. I want to check in with the boys and see how they're doing. Nick, man, how are you? How was your week? Did you freeze to death out there?
I did not freeze to death.
Thank God.
I forgot that there was a storm going on, to be honest with you, because I've had to work every day. And so I've just been driving through it, showing up to work. We've been steady, and then Saturday when it was actually nice out, I was like, man, we're really busy today. Saturday and Sunday,
everyone came out of hiding.
Yeah. They're like, well, it's because of the storm. I'm like, well, we were studying it then. Definitely ready for the All-Star break. I'll say that. Ready for the All-Star
Even though it's
break.
not a break for us.
Right. I'm just excited because I'm not going to be able to watch. I work all this week, so it'll be tough for me to watch these games coming up. So I have to rewatch them. So we can talk about them on the pod whenever we decide to record, because
that's all.
It might be a car episode at that point.
Dude, it might be the drive to Rockford, Illinois episode. That might happen.
Should just live stream the drive.
Yeah.
That'll get us kicked off of every platform. Moving on from that, Trav, how are you doing? I know you've been busy with work too. It's been chaos with the weather. How you doing?
I'm good. If you tune into Patreon, I went to Tampa a week too early, so go check out why. Other than that, good. Other than I've just been dealing with headaches for the last week. I didn't feel well when I came home from Tampa, and it's just carried on.
I'll say headaches. You haven't had to deal with us for a while, so I'm surprised.
Well, both of you at the same time. Yeah, that's very true.
Exactly. Well, good stuff. Glad to have you boys on. Let's dive into some news and updates around the Grand Rapids Griffins, and there's really only one big piece to talk about, is that the Red Wings extended Sheldon Dries to a 2-year, 2-way deal, which I think we all are absolutely in favor of this deal. He's such a key piece to the leadership core of this Griffins team, such a key piece to the offense and the defense, the penalty kill. There's so much that Dries brings to the table. Seeing the Red Wings extend him here was a really positive sign. And that's 2 guys extended now already when you're talking about the next 2 years between him and Shiner there. And that's 2 big pieces to have extended.
It's huge. I mean, the team plays very, very differently without the 2 of them in the lineup. And, being able to secure those guys long term is huge. They're both from Michigan. So even bigger boost to our Michigan pipeline, right? So, but yeah, good for Dries. I know he's from, he went to Western, but I can't remember what. Is he from Macomb? I think he's from Macomb.
Around that area, yeah.
Around that area. So good for him. Getting rewarded, right? He's having a good year this year as well. And it just locks down that veteran leadership, right? It's just, you're keeping the core leadership and your core guys together, and that's so big for us and big for the younger guys coming through. We're gonna have these prospects continually coming through, and there's just gonna it's like Waddy's fingerprints on this team now, right? And you keeping these guys just like he did in Toledo with Hawk and the other guys, and it's just gonna carry that over, hopefully, of passing the torch. So
it's good stuff. It's a good piece of work. You look at the 2 guys that have gotten the extensions, right? And Shine and Dries and the leadership group. And another key thing to remember too is the Wings extended Lagesson for 2 years. So you also have Lagesson under contract next year. So you have that veteran core you're talking about with those 2 up front, and then you have Lagesson in the back too. So I love to see that it was 2 years for both of them. And Dries, like you said, Brandon in the past is probably the most important center on the team right now some nights. So continue to mentor and guide these kids and mold these guys, especially as more and more come, because there's still going to be a lot coming in the future.
You guys have both hit on it. When you look at the pipeline of guys that are still to come to the Griffins, when you look at Detroit's depth that's going to be coming through Grand Rapids, hopefully for us, having these guys locked in and being here to help develop them, it's such a key piece. And when you talk about, Coach Watson building that culture, building that core, you look at how many times he's talked about, he brought Didier in to reset the culture when he brought him in as a captain and had him run things there. and you make Shine the captain. You've established the culture, and now they want to continue that culture for years to come. And this is the first steps in doing it. So congrats to Driesy. Love this deal for him. And that's really the only big news piece around the team. There hasn't been any other crazy things. We'll talk about some call-ups and send-downs that have happened throughout the week as we talk about the games here. And on the injury front, no new updates on Carter Mazer over there for everybody listening still, and everybody else that we've talked about who has been injured finds their way back into the lineup this week. So positives there, and we'll dive into those as we go through the rest of the show. And I guess, unfortunately, the next thing we have to do is talk about Wednesday's game. It's one we don't want to have to go back and talk about, especially with it being so far removed. But, you look at this game, the Griffins at home with the Cleveland Monsters in town, and the Griffins lose this one 4-1. And I think the only positive to take away from this is that they didn't get shut out, thanks to good old Eddie Trailmax there. That's about the best positive I can pull from this game. It was a nice redirect goal, point shot by Ian Mitchell. Nice goal for Eddie. Good to see him find the back of the net there. But other than that, this game was just rough. And I know both of you didn't watch this in detail. Nick, I know you kind of went back and watched the replay of this. Just kind of tell me what you thought you saw in this, and we'll dive into what Coach had to say about it.
Yeah, so I had to work this game. Like, while this game was live, I had to work. And so your messages to the group were just so angry, so ticked off. And I'm like, there's no way it's that bad. And
it was that bad.
Yeah, it was that bad. So I rewatched it today. So I was able to, because it was the first game back. So I wanted to be fresh for this one. And it was a terrible game. I mean, what I noticed was they couldn't get out of the defensive zone. They couldn't get through the neutral zone. They couldn't get set up in the offensive zone. A lot of it was just like every time they tried to just dump it, Cleveland was right there. Their defensemen were so fast. They were so on the puck, getting that puck and then turning it right back and going back into the offensive zone for the Griffins. So it was just like Cleveland was just so fast on everything, closing down the guys. They were sending it to the boards. They were out muscling us. Like the Griffins couldn't do anything. They were just stuck. Like they couldn't clear it out. They couldn't get any momentum. They couldn't bring it out. The only guy that was able to was Amadeus Lombardi, I thought. He was the only one able to actually like take the puck, go north-south is what, Whitey's been saying, and get that puck into the offensive zone. And they would create just a little bit of offensive zone play, but that was it. It was tough. It was a very tough game. Cleveland had the right strategy to be able to shut us down, really. And I'm wondering, I'm going to watch further on to see if anybody else was able to kind of take this defensive play and incorporate that against us moving forward. Like Chicago didn't in the second game. That one felt a little bit more back to where we were at before. But it just felt like this game was just so slow. Like we just weren't there. We didn't show up to this game, it felt like.
They didn't show up. That's the biggest thing. Because I had this game on too. Like I was watching multiple games and this was one that I had on, and they just didn't play well at all. Like you said, felt like there was a lack of urgency at times. It felt like there was just a lot of discombobulation. There was no like structure. They didn't play with like any structure. There was like no assertiveness at all. And like you look at the score after 2 periods and it's 2-1, and like Cossa kept them in the game for most of the whole game. Like he's like dragging them into this, like, guys, you got a chance, and they just couldn't produce any offense. I mean, like you said, they couldn't even get out of their zone. They did not play well, and credit to Cleveland. They came in and they played probably, I would say that's probably Cleveland's best game of the year, honestly. If you go look at probably their season as a whole, it probably hasn't been as great as they had hoped. You come in here and you put up 43 shots and you only give up 20 and you pretty much dominate the whole game. It's a good road win for them.
You're absolutely right. Cossa literally kept them in this game the entire time. The most that they showed up, the only point in the game that they actually showed up was when they pulled Cossa. Those last 2 minutes was the best offensive like output that the Griffins had the entire game, even while they were on the power play. Like they were just the better, like they actually started to play. They're like, okay, we might actually have this. Like the score is a little misleading of 4-1 because you had an empty net goal at the end. And that power play was really what did them in at the end there. But yeah, those last 2 minutes was actually when they decided to show up and actually play. And I felt bad because like Cossa played a decent game tonight. 43 shots, 43 shots against, and gave the team a chance. we just didn't capitalize. I thought the third line was the only other line that actually played well. And then Waddy kind of mixed that up too with bringing Trail Max and Waddy on the same line.
Yeah, he did have a lineup change there for that, but I do want to go back to a couple of points you guys hit on. And the first one, Nick, you mentioned, Ammo playing well in this one. This game kind of felt like the beginning of what turned out to be a phenomenal week for Amadeus Lombardi, and we'll talk about that as this goes on. But it felt like you could start seeing the puzzle pieces come together for him, who's been openly struggling since he's come back from injury. And, we talked about it a little bit last week, but this was one of his better games since he's come back. Even with the result that they had, it just felt like he was trying to drag his line into the fight. And that's what you want to see from him. And, you talk about Cossa. Yeah, he was shelled in this game with those 43 shots against, and even coach made sure to point out at the end that this was not on Cossa. He thought he played well in this one, trying to keep them in it. When you look at the examples of how Cleveland scored on us, that there's not much he could do in that situation, and he did the best he could with that. So the score really does not reflect Sebastian Cossa whatsoever. What it does reflect is what coach's comments were after the game. We didn't challenge them for the puck at all. We didn't win those battles. We just didn't play. And he wasn't hesitant to mention that, and, brought up the fact that we need to meet again. We need to have another meeting. You need to get this straightened out and figure out what's going on. We can't have this slide like you saw this time last year, right? You just can't have that. And I thought it was really interesting to hear coach kind of just come out and say that as bluntly as he did.
Yeah, I mean, I started to January was not nice to us for this month. I mean, I think we were at 7-5-1 or something like that. Like, just obviously you can't play 900 hockey every month, but you start going on a 3-game slide, you see another one, and now red flags, yellow flags start coming up in my head of, here we go from last year, the second half of the season, we start sliding, and maybe, the alarms are a bit too soon, but you start getting a little nervous, especially when they show up like that. That's just not the team that we're used to seeing, perform, right? Especially, like, that was a sold out, and at least Bob and Larry said it was a sold out game. That was
close, 9,600 for a Wednesday night game.
That's a lot, I feel. Like, usually you see 8,000, 96, like, in the storm, too. Like, it was not great weather last week. So, yeah, disappointing. And I don't know why, but we just struggled at home this year. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, it is weird when you're struggling at home, and Waddy does not like to struggle at home. That's he always wants to protect home ice. He's very vocal about wanting to do that. So it is weird to see them struggle, especially when the crowds come in like that. I don't want to be just entirely negative about this game, because there was one moment in the game that was a highlight that it's on our social pages, and it shocked us all because we were not aware of his game. We already spoke about him with this episode, signing that deal. Sheldon Dries lays a massive hit at center ice. Guy comes to hit him. He reverse hits him and then drops the gloves. And Driesy was not aware of your game. Holy crap. Was not aware you had that in you. And I think it shocked all of us on press row when he did it. But when you look at this game, it's another game without Dominic Shine in the lineup, that leader that's known to be able to drag his team into the fight by doing that exact thing. He's not there. And Driesy went and filled those shoes to a T in this game to try to get a spark going, to try to get something going. And God, were those hits just shocking.
Loved it. Absolutely loved the little chaos. His little bowling ball out there of just knocking guys over, trying to get a spark. I mean, at that point, I think the game was still 1-1. I think at that point. So you try to get a spark. It didn't work. Like, it's still.
And the best part of it all is that we got a power play out of it. Not that we converted on it, because our power play at home is a topic for discussion later. But at the same time, like, he did all that and got a power play out of it. Like, congrats to him. That's a perfect execution of leadership on the ice right there.
Yeah, we've talked about creating your own power play opportunities. There it is, right there. Like, so
well, somebody had to do something. Christ, there was no signs of life. Like, just being honest, there really wasn't. Like, somebody had to do something. And that was the one point in the game where, like, they finally had some energy, and it was an amazing moment for sure.
Yeah. The other thing that came out of this game for me, and it's something that'll be a topic of the Friday game too, is this was a frustrating game for young MBN. It was not his best game. He had a lot of passes not connecting, a lot of whiffs, a lot of it looked like mental errors happening out on the ice. And it's not something you love to see. I mean, every player is going to have a bad skid, right? Everyone has a little rough patch to go through. And I don't want to be like, oh my God, he was terrible and all this. It just wasn't his best game. It wasn't the entire team's best game, but when he made the mistakes, it was just extremely noticeable because, one, you don't expect him to make those mistakes at this point. He's been so good for this team. But God, those mistakes really stuck out like a sore thumb, unfortunately, and it just wasn't his best game at all by any means.
Especially the clearing attempt. That is what set the game. Like him
and Justin Hull had maybe the worst clears of the season.
Well, scoreboard wise, they were in the game, but play wise, they weren't in the game. Like the score, they were tied, but as far as how the game was going, they were not in it. In that turnover, and then they score with like a second and a half left. Like that sunk them. Like that sucks.
Yeah.
And then they give up the goal early in the third.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the goal early in the third and you're like, Hull playing with the puck behind the net. You're like, just either drop it back or flip it with some oomph and get it out of there. And MBN, you just see him toss that puck up in the air, hoping to get it to center, and it doesn't get anywhere near center.
Like just
lands
just
right in
wire
front
it
of
down
a
the
Cleveland
ice.
player. Yeah, exactly. Like, again, mental errors that you don't expect these guys to make that they were making in this one.
But
and
he is a young player. You got to remember that too. Like he's going to have learning moments. That's probably a moment that they've already sat down with him and like, hey, next time just ice it. Like at that point, that the period's over. Like they're not going to get down there in time. If there's like maybe a second left, but then you're going off the face off, and that's way less chance of a turnover, and you got more time.
I mean, that was the problem the entire night against Cleveland, though. Like, they couldn't ice it. Like, every time they tried to run it down there, like, they would intercept it right at the blue line, right at the half circle, like, right at the center line. Like, they were stopping everything coming through. Like, they played half-court off or defense against the Griffins all night. Like, it was just, I'm like, I've never seen anybody be able to, like do that in a long time against Grand Rapids. It wasn't just that they were like battling on the boards and like creating turnovers. Like they literally just nothing got past center ice, like on the other side. And
it wasn't that Cleveland brought a different play style either, though. Coach said it flat out at the end when I talked to him post game. It was not a different Cleveland team. The Griffins did not show up.
A little bit of both.
I mean, but he's kind of right. Like watching the game, when you take the blinders off, and the blinders, I mean by just the blinders of frustration as a fan watching, you're just like, oh my God. When you peel it back and you go, Cleveland just played us like this every single game. Like you think of the past few games they've been in Grand Rapids, they've scored first, they've come out of the gate hot, and Grand Rapids has just come back and found a way to overcome it. Cleveland didn't change their play style. The team just didn't show up. And it's one of those things where, you mentioned it being a great learning moment for MBN. And I wanted to ask that post game, but maybe not the right post game to ask that. Kind of read the room and realized I shouldn't ask that question. Moved on with the night. But it's good learning experience. And you hope you go into Friday's game. You're like, all right, that was kind of embarrassing. Let's see what happens in this one. Hopefully they had their meeting. And you go into this game and it gets off the rails, and it gets off the rails quickly. And Chicago wins this one 5-2. Yes, the Griffins scored 2 goals. They were both in the third period. It was nice to see a little bit of fight come back. You asked Coach, what do you thought of that? And, Chicago probably let off the gas a little bit, rightfully so at that point. But I mean, God, in the first period, by the end of it, Chicago's up 3-0. Their first goal was 4 minutes, 11 seconds in on the power play. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. Their second one was 4 minutes, 29 seconds into the period. Just back to back, boom, boom. The Griffins are in a 2-0 hole right off that. And I hate that power play goal, that first one, because the Griffins came out of the gate in this one with great momentum. They were controlling play. They had great pressure in the Chicago end, and a guy steps on John Leonard's stick, and Leonard gets called for tripping. And that, again, follows with a power play goal that you'd hope the penalty kill could come through and kill off. But as we've said multiple times about the Wolves, and as Coach has said, Chicago has some goal scorers, and you give them opportunities, they usually capitalize. But I hate that that's the play that killed the momentum, because we came out of the gate playing Griffins hockey. And as soon as that goal went in, we stopped playing Griffins hockey.
Yeah, I mean, it was just frustrating. You can't give up a goal that quick into the game. I mean, it's just, especially on the power play. We've been so good on the penalty kill, and Chicago they converted both their power plays that night. So either they figured something out against us, because no team's been 100% against us at all this season. And you want to have a bounce back. You want to make, let's burn the tapes from the night before, but you come out and you give up 3 straight, like right away. And I felt bad for you going in the post game of this game. And I was like, oh no. But you said Dan wasn't that angry about it. Like he said, they played well, they skated better. It's just those 3 turnovers. And a lot of it was just mental mistakes, right? There's one player, I think, that kind of, he was on the ice. I think he was on the ice for all three of them. Just turnovers. They just couldn't clear the puck out of the defensive end. And it ended up in the back of ours. And it's unfortunate. Like Cossa goes in and he gives up, what, four in this game?
He gave up 5 in this game, unfortunately.
Okay, because Posty got pulled for Posty. So yeah, it's unfortunate. You go into back-to-back and it's back-to-back games of landing 4 goals. It's just unheard. It's not Griffins like, right? We've
It's
been on the other side
uncharacteristic
of it.
for this team.
Yeah, that's the
It
word I
really-
was thinking of.
I figured that's the word you're going for. And you look at everything going into this game too, right? You're like, even with the loss on Wednesday, they still have the best start through 40 games in AHL history. And then you see 2 call-ups happen. You see Hull and Dries get called up, but you see Dries get reassigned before this game, and he's in the lineup. So you're happy to see him. And with the defensive pipeline we have, you can lose Hull for a game or 2. It's not going to kill you, right? But like you said, going into post game, I was like, what are we going to get here? And I think my question was to coach to start it off was that's not the response you were looking for from Wednesday. And he politely shut down that, thinking that was not the right word for it. And he's right. That wasn't the right word when I look back at it now. I'm still learning. AHL is a development league for media too, right? But he did say they played better in certain aspects of the game they didn't play well in Wednesday night. There was some building blocks to build off of from that game. They skated better. There was moments where they played their style better. And like I said, they came out of the gate in the first period in this one playing their style, and you hoped that it would carry forward. And again, just some mental errors with takeaways. And that did him in. But coach kind of reassured me at that point that you could see the building blocks to getting back to Griffins hockey were there, and it just didn't happen in this game. And you hate to see it against Chicago, but you got to remember that the Wolves are the second best team in the division. And yes, there's a massive separation there because of the tear the Griffins have been on. But the Chicago Wolves are a good team. Oh, that kills me to say. But it's, again, you just wanted more for Cossa because there's not a ton I could fault him on. Yeah, sure, some of these goals he wants back, right? He's a competitor. He's always going to want him back. And I think Travis and I can agree on one goal that, he definitely probably wants back. But coach didn't pull him in-game situation. He pulled him in the second intermission, put Postava in there, and he gave a reasoning for that before the game on Saturday night, where it was, get Cossa out of there, try to see if we can get a spark going in the third period, but also let Postava see some pucks before he's going to play tomorrow night. Hopefully that warms him up a little and gets him ready for that game. And we'll talk about that game, but it had him ready for that game. So it wasn't like a Cossa, you did bad, you let in 5, pull him, which I was shocked after the first 3 or 4. He didn't get yanked. But when you look at it in big picture, I kind of like how coach approached it because you don't kill the mental side of the game for the goaltender.
I was shocked he didn't start Postava in the second period. And I get they were playing the next night, but if Cossa would have came out after the first period, you could have went back to him the next night if you were worried about a guy playing too many minutes. Like, I get trying to get a spark, but at that point, it's only 3-0 after the first period. If you want to try to get a spark, I would have thought you would have sent out Postava to try to get a spark for the second period with 2 periods to play, not down 5-0. Oh, let's try to get a spark now. It's better to get a spark at 3-0 than 5-0. But like you said, I thought they played a little bit better, but they didn't manage areas well enough in specific areas. You hear Todd talk about managing the game a lot, and like the third goal was the big one for me. Like, I know I've told to you about it, but like guys wide open in the slot, and you got 2 guys just like not even going to the slot. They're going to the top of the circles. Like, there's
guys
coasting and like just letting them go right down Broadway. Like, you cannot do that, especially when it's 2-0 early in the game. Like, the game's not over. Like, there's still, like it was 2-0. You're not even 5 minutes in. And then it's like, okay, well now it's 3-0. And it's just like, that one for me was like again, like, here we go. Like, they're not managing it. Like, the start was good. I agree with you. They started a lot better. But like, it's the little details that, like, in this game, like you said, the turnovers, not hustling back to get to a guy in the slot. Like, the most dangerous player in the ice on that third goal is the guy standing in between the hash marks. And you got 2 forwards that are just like at the top of the circles. Like, one just, I don't know, went over to the right side of the ice. And I'm like, okay, you were right next to the guy, and the other guy's standing there watching him wide open. It's just like, whoa. I would just love to know, like, what happened there. So like that for me, like that could, like, if that goal doesn't go in, it's only 2-0. Like, and it's like, okay,
it's a big mental error, man. I think that's what that whole play was just a big mental error. I think coach is really stressed on the mental errors and the mistakes they were making. And he did emphasize in Saturday's postgame that like they haven't had a day off. Like he talked about Saturday's game and what to get ready for there, but he was more excited for Sunday because it was their first day off in a while where the players could get together without the coaches there, hash this out, kind of figure out what's going on and just kind of, be away from the game a little bit. And I think when you're watching, it's so hard to remember that like it's a job and heck, we go through stretches with no days off and we're like, oh my God, the mental lapses start showing, especially when we try to record these episodes after no days off. But it's that's all it was just mental errors that you're not used to seeing this team make.
I'll say this though, the third period, that was, I think, a big thing for them because like you said, they netted 2 goals. They got the early one and that's when I was like, okay, see here, you pull the goalie at 5-0. And if you'd have done it at 3, maybe you're back in it a little bit. And they played the third a lot better than I thought they played the first 2 periods outside of the first minute and a half, 2 minutes. But
yeah, I'm glad you brought up those goals too, because like Trail Max, that goal was pretty. That was nice to see him find the back of the net. Great play there. And yes, Emo's was a garbage time goal, as most would call it, but I believe I said in our post, that's a confidence boost goal right there. Yes, it's near the end of the period. Who cares? Like he found the back of the net. It's that reminder that, okay, I've still got this. It was a great shot by him. And it's just that reminder to him that he's like, all right, I'm getting back. As I kind of teased, he's getting back to his usual self. And boy, Saturday did we see the ammo we're used to seeing. But the biggest piece outside of just mental errors and yes, letting Chicago get up to 5 before you pull the goalie, the biggest piece of this game is they got crushed in the special teams battle. 0 for 4 on the power play, and you let Chicago convert on both of their 2 power plays. That you got crushed in the special teams department at home. That's not great. In the power play at home, we've talked about it loosely here over the past few episodes. It's bad. It's bad. For some reason, the power play at home is nowhere near what it's capable of doing on the road. I don't understand why. I'd love to get the question out there to coach and kind of get his understanding of it, but the timing of asking that question has really not been in our favor. Hopefully, after the All-Star break or during the All-Star break, we can kind of get some insight to that and be able to share that. But I really would like to know what it is with special teams at home versus on the road.
Yeah, Larry and Bob, they were talking about it on the Cleveland game. They were 3 for 14 in the last 5 games, which is 21%. So but I don't know. I'd have to look to see like how many of those were home games in the last 5 games before that. So
not a lot, because I think when I looked at home on Wednesday or Friday, it was like 12% at home this season.
Yeah, it's so
it's not
bad. Good. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, it's special teams really. Like that's where Chicago won this game, right? Because the if those turnovers didn't happen, it's a 2-2 game. But at that point, like a power play goal or a penalty kill would have sparked, it would have gave us some life. It'll give us some momentum. And like Travis, you said though, is that third period was huge for them. They only let Chicago score or have 2 shots on that, 3 shots on that
in the third, yeah.
And they outshot them 16-2. I mean that's a huge period. You net 2 goals from that too. So, just a bad it's just a bad start, right?
Well, it wasn't a bad start. The first 4 minutes was great. And then it all went to crap after that. That's when I say good start, it wasn't the good first period. It was just a good first 4 minutes. But that's make sure I clarify that for everyone listening. I'm sure I'll get chirped in a comment somewhere. Good start. They let in 3 on 5 shots in the first. Yeah, I know. Okay, I know. Good first 4 minutes, and then that penalty, and it all went to crap after that. But enough about that game. We're going to move on to Saturday's game. Before we do that, we're going to hit a quick ad break. When we come back, recap Saturday's game, tell you who rejoined the lineup for the Griffins on Saturday, give you our 3 stars of the week and AHL standings update and some news around the league.
Super Bowl 60 deserves a sportsbook built for the moment. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 60, puts you right in the center of the biggest game of the year. Anything can happen during the Super Bowl, and DraftKings has your back with early exit. If your player goes down in the first half, you can still get paid in cash when your bet settles. No bonus bets, no waiting. While other sportsbooks don't offer injury protection, DraftKings covers the entire first half, even the second quarter. And early exit works on live bets too. Pre-game or in-game, DraftKings has you covered. We've got the Super Bowl coming up. Seattle Seahawks versus the New England Patriots. Going to be exciting. I don't know if you've been following the Seahawks this year, but I think they are the favorite, at least with the guys here at Hockeytown West. They are. New to DraftKings, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings. The crowd is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Blue Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win. To receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days, minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio limited time offer.
And welcome back. All right, let's dive into Saturday's game on the road in Chicago. Before we get to that game, Justin Hull was reassigned to the Griffins in this one, so you get him back in the lineup. So all the guys that were called up were officially back, which was great. But then there was another boost to the lineup that we saw when the team shared their arrival photos. You see a little Nate Danielson appearance and a Dominic Shine appearance. You go, oh, are they playing? And sure enough, the Griffins get those two pieces back in the lineup, which only leaves the guys out with injury being Carter Mazer. And then after Friday's game, John Leonard, which we don't love to see him get injured right before All-Star, especially, and right before a return to Charlotte. That's not great. And Chad Hillebrand was also marked as an injured player in this one. Interesting note when you looked at this lineup is that Shai Buyum and Tyler Angle were healthy scratches going into this one, which, based on the play recently, I do not disagree with that move. I mean, I don't love being the guy, right, that's going to be like, oh, this player, deserved to be healthy scratched for a game, but Buyum had a really rough Friday night. I will admit, the whole team had a rough night, but Buyum had a rough Friday night. Tyler Angles had a rough stretch of games too, where the defensive concerns we had when we signed him have kind of showed up a little bit. And it's just, again, I think it goes back to that mental part of the game where it was just mental lapses, making mistakes with the puck on your stick. And that's what I saw mostly with Angle and Buyum. I don't know. I don't know how to speak how he played into words right now. It just wasn't great. So seeing those two healthy scratched was interesting heading into the game, but seeing Dominic Shine and Nate Danielson back in the lineup is huge. Bob mentioned with Coach in the pregame show that there was just kind of a different vibe to the room when those guys come back in. And Nick, we remember last season when Dominic Shine returned from his call up in Detroit, what it did to that room when him and Austin Watson both walked back in. They dropped 8 on Rockford that night and gave you hell with posting goals that night while I was enjoying it as a fan. But that's just what guys like that can do with the room. They can bring that vibe up, and it was just really nice to see them return. And the game starts and we go, all right, what's the response from last night? You've had just 24 hours after that last game to kind of think, regroup, and go back in. And Chicago scores the first goal of the game 3 minutes in. And I just go, crap, here we go again. And luckily I was wrong when I said that, because just a few minutes later, Nate Danielson, who did not make this pass to Dominic Shine. I don't know why it's still Nate Danielson on the score sheet. It was MBN passing to Dominic Shine, but MBN makes a nice pass to Shiner. He rips it for a one-timer past Miftakov, which, if you remember, Miftakov is the goaltender that Dominic Shine rock-starred a slap shot pass in a shootout as well. So slap shots and Dominic Shine against this goaltender tend to find the back of the net, apparently. But what a goal and what a return for the captain.
Yeah, it's one stat that they were talking about the other night was if we are trailing that win, we're 4-2-0-1, or 4-3-0-1.
Do you want to know the crazier stat with that?
What?
When Chicago scores first, going into this game, they were 15-0-2-1.
So it's important for these teams to get out to a good start, right? And you can't lose hope, especially against us when we do let in the first one. I'm not surprised there was a lot of lineup changes here, like you said, at Shai. Like that's kind of who I was alluding to in the Friday game of 3 turnovers right in the back. He's also coming back from injury, getting into the swing of the season. So it makes sense to, take the night off. Let's regroup. The other one that I thought was interesting too, though, was you move Trail Max to the second line with Lombardi with Watson. So something a little different. You move him off. I know they've been doing that in the middle of the game as well, is bumping him up. And then they moved MBN down to the third line.
Well, be careful on the moving in game, because that's been because injuries sustained during the games. Like we've had a lot of those recently, which is, hey, it's nice to see not practice injuries, I guess. You got some in-game injuries finally looming, but it is that second line's an interesting look when you do Waddy Trail Max and Lombardi there. I kind of like it, but you also hate to see Trail Max leave the check guys, right? Like that line's worked so well all season. But in this game, man, it worked. And after Shine's goal, 1:22 later, Griffins have the lead. Lombardi goals in back-to-back nights. Yes, we know the first one was at the end of the game. Oh, well. But like we said, confidence booster. This week just felt like a build-up for Lombardi. And not only does he get that goal, but he ends up with 2 assists in this game, too. One of them being on the power play, and just had himself a heck of a 3-point night in Chicago.
Love to see it, right? Points and bunches. That's what he needs to be able to get back going. And like, being out for a little bit, he gets that confidence boost, and hopefully it's more to come, right? Especially against Chicago. Chicago's a good team. It's not like they're playing Iowa, right? And he has like a 4-goal game. I mean, this is the second best team in the Central Division. This is a good team.
If Iowa ever listens to our show, there's just bulletin board material left and right for them. We're not going to talk about that. I mean, you look at the other goal scorers in this one. You had Deuce finding the back of the net. It was great to see Deuce finding the back of the net. We need more of that in our life. It was a nice goal, nice pass from Lagesson to him, wide open in the slot too. Love to see him get to that area and be open. That's what you want to see more. And he was calling for it too. He was ready. You had Drisey get his 15th of the season. You had Austin Watson, which we got to talk about this goal. What a passing play between Trail Max, Lombardi to Watson for that goal too. Absolutely beautiful stuff.
To kind of go into the play, great passing play, right? And it just shows like with Lombardi, like this is like he needed the game like this. Like I think this was kind of him reestablishing that like game breaker that you saw last year at times, and like especially offensively. He's so gifted with the puck on his stick and the vision and being able to produce offensively. And felt like when he came back, it was, baby steps to getting kind of back to this level. And now that he had the big night, you hope that it can carry on. I think that's probably the biggest thing for me is like continue to produce offensively. That's like his biggest attribute, right, is offense. He's really an offensive minded player. He's really good with the puck on his stick. He's got a high offensive IQ. So if he can continue to produce like this, I mean, this is going to unlock this team even more, right? And when you don't have him like they had him for so long and he comes back and it's maybe like a slow build to get here, if he can sustain this, that's only going to help this team get to even more offensive firepower, which some nights they don't even need it, but it's great that they have a guy like this. If he can figure out that consistency now that he's back and rolling, it seems like offensive.
Yeah, you got to get the kid going. I mean, it's going to be, this is his year, right? It's a proof of year for him. He misses a few games because of injury, needs to bounce back, needs to have some big games, and you get these, right? And I just want to talk on that play, though, between Trail Max, Lombardi, and Watson. That pass from Trail Max to Watson, just a little drop pass. Like, these guys don't normally play together on a line. So just to know that Watson was there, and then Watson sees Ammo coming up on the other side to beat it over to him, just nails it in there. Like, just the nail in the coffin to this game. Like, there's 4 minutes left, and they get it.
You had that backwards. It was a drop pass from Trail Max to Lombardi, Lombardi to Watson. Watson scored.
Oh, my bad. I'm looking at you. I thought I said like Ammo.
Oh, that's so great. I love that for us. But no, you're like the whole thing. Your point was correct. The guys were just in opposite order, but your point is correct. Like being able to do that when you're not playing all the time together is such a huge piece. And like we've talked about Ammo so much the past few weeks and him coming back from injury. And it was just like, this is the game where I'm like, yeah, he's back. And that's such a great thing for us to see. It's such a great thing for his confidence, too, to see himself go out there and do that, especially against a team that just, I mean, they didn't embarrass you the night before, but I'm sure those guys felt like it, right? They didn't like to lose in that fashion to that team. To be able to go out there, drop 3 points, getting a little scrum even near the end of the game. Like, it's what you want to see from the kid, and you love it, and you just hope that this is something he can build off of, take into Milwaukee on Tuesday night, and hopefully do some damage against them.
I think that it's Watson now. Like, that's huge for him, too, though, because the night prior, he had a couple opportunities and just couldn't bury it. He had a breakaway. He had another, I think it rang off the goalpost. Like, he had his chances, and he was just off. His timing was just not right that night. And to see him now get rewarded, like, huge for him. Like, I know last year it was crazy. He was this unknown goal scorer that we're like, holy crap, like, where's this guy coming from? Scoring these goals, punching people in the face. And this year he's kind of dropped down a little bit. Like, we don't really see the fights from him. We can hear him chirping up in the press row. And now he's getting some points too. So, like, that's good on him, is to be able to get lifted up a little bit as well. And I think there is going to you're going to start seeing some chemistry too between Amo and Watson. Like, you always see him in the locker room talking, chatting it up, trying to game plan and figure out like what went wrong or what to do better. So to see this kind of translate now on the ice, like, even better for these two.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, even in this game, Trail Max almost had goals in back-to-back games. He got absolutely robbed by the goalpost far side, which I wouldn't say robbed by it. Like, he missed. Like, he had a wide open net, but it was another one of those pretty passing plays between Watson, Lombardi, and himself. Like, that line had themselves an absolute night out there. And you just look at, the power play goal, Ammo making contribution there. Obviously, Dominic Shine with an assist on that, and it was Driesy's goal. So it was good to see that. It was just an overall good game, a good response, and kept them from having their first 4-game losing streak of the season. We've still yet to see them lose 4 in a row. 3 is the max that this team has lost, and that's a nice positive to take away as well.
Well, I like your point there of like not letting the snowball continue to roll, right? And one thing too that I want to point out here, this is an important win for the team itself, and the fact that they didn't have John Leonard. Like, that's a guy that I feel like a lot of nights they rely on him to provide a lot of offense. So on a night where he's not in the lineup and you can get 5, like, that's a huge confidence boost, right? And you look at a guy, to go back to Ammo, like, top scorer goes out, need a guy to step up. This was the guy last year that kind of carried the offense. Like, that's a big moment. But for the team as itself, like, your leading scorer goes down, doesn't play in this game. And I know that he's been in and out of the lineup with the veteran rule, but for a team that, is struggling a little bit here and a little bit of a rut, and then offensively in, a little bit of a rut the last few games, you don't have him in the lineup and you go out and score 5. That's a big confidence boost for the rest of the room, I think. Could be wrong, but that's something I thought of.
I hope what this does is reminds them all that they can do it too. They don't need to rely on this one guy. Take some of the pressure off Lenny. Let Lenny just go do his thing, and stop making it so every team just goes, I'm going to go circle in on Leonard here, and make the rest of the team dangerous. We need to see more of that. When you can go drop 5 in a game like this, none of them being empty net goals either. You had 5 goals with a goalie in net. Like, you need to do more of that when you don't have him, and you need to do more of that when you do have him. That's how you get those 6 to 7, 8 goal games, when he can go out there and have fun, do his thing, but he's not the guy that's relied on. Only rely on him in the situations where it's like, okay, we're all putting our best foot forward. We need 1 goal. We're not getting it. Lenny, looking at you, buddy. Like, that's how it should be. And I hope that's just kind of that stark reminder to the rest of the team heading into a day off where it's like, hey, we can all do this. Let's stop relying on that one guy to go out there and do it, and just let him be him.
Now we just got to rely on Dominic Shine to be in the lineup every time they play, because
it's so different.
I think he's only lost 2 games while being in the lineup. The other thing I want to point out too is we talked the night prior, right? We give up 2 on the power play, and we get nothing. This game, we actually score 1 on the power play, and we shut down their power play completely. So the penalty kill was awesome, 100%, and we get that goal too on the power play. So
they weren't at home.
Yeah, we ran at home.
Exactly.
Where were they? So, I mean, but still, power play goal, right? So I'm hoping some of this will, I don't want to say spark it, because we're on like a 9-game road games we played it out, right?
Something freaking crazy. Like, you're going to be on the road for a hot minute here, which again, coach loves getting on the road. Lets the guys get together. But this was such a key game heading into that day off, right? They don't have to go into that day off complete doom and gloom. They can go in with like hey, we've still got this. We just need to get back to square one and figure out, how do we replicate this every night? We got to stop making the mental errors. We got to go play our game. This game was Griffins hockey, 100%. This is what we've expected this season. They wore them down. They played physical. They hunted after the puck, and they just found ways to score goals, even when they didn't need to necessarily score goals. And you look at the rough stuff too, like Driesy going to the net, Number 52 in Chicago thinks he made contact on purpose. He doesn't, but there's a scrum there that he's involved in. Lombardi's involved in. Lombardi's taking a few shots, gives a few back. Either the guys dropped the gloves, but again, you look at that situation, and Grand Rapids came out of that situation again with the power play. Sheldon Dries causing a little bit of a mix-up out there, resulting in a power play. It's stuff you love to see.
I was surprised at how physical Emma was getting in there, like just throwing some
I loved
punches.
it.
I was just like, what? And it was just chaos, right? Just everybody loves chaos, especially at the end. And hopefully we see this. I don't know how many more times we play the Wolves this season, but I'm sure things line up. We'll probably play them a lot in the playoffs as well. So hopefully this is our rivalry this season is the Wolves, since Rockford can't keep up. And this just kind of continues. I'm just going to call out every team this episode, Brandon. Get ready.
Oh, God.
Who else is in our division?
Bring some jam. Bring some pissed off, like, don't take no shit.
It's great to see, like, a guy like Ammo was running his mouth in that one too with Brendamore. Like, he was running his mouth, and I was like, yeah, go get him, kid.
When you got a 3-point game, I mean, you're feeling uber confident. Run your mouth, man. As long as you're willing to back it up, and if not, he's got a few guys in the lineup that'll come help him. So
and that whole scrum came right after that 5th Griffins goal too. But it's so nice to see the script flipped, right? You lose 5-2 the night before in an ugly fashion. You come back, you win 5-2. Postava, fantastic game, making some great saves in this one. Just continuing to be an unreal piece. And if I'm looking at Coach Watson, I go, yeah, I know your rotation. I know Cossa's your guy, but dude, if you're skating against the Wolves, I think you might have to start Posty every time. Like, going into Friday's game, I think it was 0.88 goals against the Wolves. Like, he comes into the third period, gets that shutout third period there, only allows 2 in this game. Like, let's keep riding Postava in the place he got injured in. For some reason, it's like his vengeance tour in Chicago. Like, I got hurt here, and I'm going to come in and just lock it down every time. It's beautiful.
Maybe we just need to have more fire on the ice. Maybe that's what gets him going, is the fire, the pyrotechnicians.
I'm so glad you said that, because Bob interviewed Ammo post game, and he's like, yeah, the ice wasn't great out there. And you're like, yeah, you wonder why. You set half of it on fire in the pregame. Like, the ice cannot be good on that end of the ice. There's no way that ice is good with how much fire they bring to the table there. But dude, any win like this against the Chicago Wolves is always going to be a fun win. I was having fun covering this game. It was just a great win overall, and a great way to head into the rest of this road trip, because the Griffins aren't back in Van Andel until after the All-Star break, which is a wild stretch to be gone that long. They're in Milwaukee this Tuesday, and then they head down to Charlotte, which I told you guys heading into this game against Charlotte, it's going to be interesting because Charlotte's been on a tear. There was a stretch there where they had 49 goals in 8 games.
Yeah.
Think about that. That's insane.
Without John Leonard.
Without John Leonard. It's going to be like we called it, and I know Coach hated it when we said it when we played him the first time. It's like, oh, it's that measuring stick, right? But when you come out of these little ruts, like, this feels like a measuring stick series against Charlotte, and the way it's split right now, it's 1-1. Can you go in there and, win the mini series against them for the season? That's what you hope to do. And it's going to be a interesting game. And hopefully the weather there, continues to be like Carolina happy, because Charlotte had to play a game with no fans this weekend.
I saw that. It was crazy. And they still did production. They still did kiss cam. They still did great hair clips. They showed the assistant coach, who was bald, gave him a free haircut. Yeah, it was.
The president of the organization was on the ice shoveling between media timeouts. Like, they made it happen. And I think we've had to do that here in Grand Rapids with a snowstorm too. And I think that was against Charlotte. It was a few years ago back. I'd have to go back and see, but I think we played a game before the COVID era with no fans against Charlotte. So Charlotte's kind of used to this, but they got whooped in that game. That's kind of out of character for them as of recently, because again, they've been playing so well.
The whole
wrapping up this whole week, obviously it's great to see them wrap it up with a win. Like I said, not extending it to a 4-game losing streak. It's a great thing to see. The Chicago game on Friday was the start of a 5-game segment, as Coach keeps talking about. So rough start, but a nice bounce back in their 5-game segment. And you look at the rest of the segment, and it's on the road. Obviously, Milwaukee, Charlotte. But we'll dive into the 3 stars of the week. And yeah, with a couple rough games, it's hard to pick them, but these are the ones I'm going to give you guys here. And the first one I'm going to go with is going to be Dominic Shine. Goal and an assist this week. In his 1 game, I guess it is returned back, but that's my 3rd star of the week. 2nd star of the week, I'm giving to Eddie. 2 goals this week. I think he's well-deserved the second star. And the first star is the obvious one, right? We've been talking about him all episode long. Amadeus Lombardi with that 3-point game there, plus a goal in the night before. So 2 goals, 2 assists in the week. He gets first star.
The only one I would make a case for is the third star. It could be Driesy, gets a goal, beats up 3 people like that. That's the only one I'd be on the edge. But no, I had Trailmax the second. I had Ammo as first. It was an easy count this week for Ignite the Nest, which was unfortunate for Lars over there, Swedish winger. He's got some bad luck this season. He went with
He's
Johnny
first right now.
Yeah, John Leonard this week and nothing. Lockdown went with MBN, nothing this week as well, which is just very uncharacteristic of those 2 players. So, but that was about everybody. Like, yeah, Trailmax was a pick. Was one of the last.
I had an
picks.
honorable mention in William Lagesson with 2 assists this week. I think he's kind of rebounded. He's had some rough games recently too. He had a good end of the week, good Friday, good Saturday. That would be my honorable mention there. But yeah, I think we need to amend the Ignite the Nest rules where Lars can pick the opponent's goalie if that's the curse that he has about him this season. Maybe it'll do some more good for us. So, rule guy Nick over there, that's my offer to you to amend the rules for him. Screw his season and winning. We just need him to taint the other teams.
I don't think he's going to be able to make a comeback. He's down like 50 points to
yeah, we got to share
down.
an updated standings graphic for everybody so they can see who is following along still. We still are doing Ignite the Nest. We just haven't had time to update graphics. Moving on from all the Griffins games and all the fun there, let's talk about the standings in the American League here as it stands right now. In the Central Division, the Griffins leading the division with 69 points.
Nice.
Chicago still in second at 52 points. Manitoba in third at 47. Texas in fourth at 44 points. Milwaukee in fifth at 42. Rockford in sixth at 36 points. And Iowa still down there with their 12 wins and 29 points in the season. I mean, Iowa 2-5-3 in their past 10. Rockford 3-6-0-1. Rockford's got this crazy schedule coming up, though, where they're at home basically all of February. It's crazy how you luck out with that, plus the All-Star game being in Rockford. Like, they just don't have to leave. So I'd like to know how they won the league over with that one. That's someone can let us know. That'd be great. Go to the Pacific Division. Colorado retook the lead in that one there. Ontario in second. Bakersfield in third. Your bottom team there is still Abbotsford. You go to the North Division. Laval, Syracuse, and Toronto make up the top 3. Cleveland has crept up to fourth. They're welcome for that game there. They're actually 6-3-1 in their past 10. They seem to be kind of figuring things out over there. Bottom of that division still is Utica with their 12 wins on the season as well. You go to the Atlantic Division. Providence has retaken the lead in that one, 8-2 in their past 10. They have kind of been on fire again. Wilkes-Barre in second there. Charlotte in third, 7-2-1 in their past 10. Like I've talked about, they've been playing very well, but they have lost their last 2 games in a row. Hershey in fourth, and the bottom team in that one is going to be Hartford now. Springfield has finally moved out of the bottom spot, and Hartford has fallen to the bottom spot. Trey Fix-Wolansky must be in shambles going from Cleveland to playing for that team. But outside of that is make a trade. Yeah, right. Outside of that, that's your standings in the AHL. Let us know where you think the playoff picture is going to start to be shaken out here. I know it's not the time yet, but some of these divisions you can kind of start putting things together and see maybe who's going to be fighting for their playoff lives or who's going to be able to lock it in here. And I think the question still remains is when is Grand Rapids going to clinch? It feels like it's got to be soon.
How are you fighting for your playoff lives when 3/4 of the league makes it? Like,
okay, all right, settle down. Settle down.
I'm just surprised Abbotsford still has not figured it out. They went to the finals last year.
They won the Calder Cup last year, sir.
Yeah, they had to get there first to be able to win it, but yeah.
And they finally got their rings after much delay and conspiracy if they were ever going to get their rings. They finally got their rings and they're sweet. But yeah, it's
15 wins on the season. It's just crazy.
Vancouver as an organization's in trouble.
They
are in trouble. There's not a lot of Vancouver and the Rangers. Rangers are in trouble. Vancouver's in trouble.
I'll give an organization, I hate to do it, but a little bit of flowers. Top to bottom, nobody expected the top team to do anything but Pittsburgh's organization.
Dude.
Like, nobody expected Pittsburgh to be in the playoff picture, and they're in the playoff picture. And then you look at Wheeling and the Coast, they're having a good year, and Wilkes-Barre's having a good year. Like, top to bottom, that organization is shutting a lot of people up. Like,
yeah, Stuart Skinner's having a time over there with the Penguins, isn't he?
Boy, it looks like Edmonton still needs a goalie, don't they? It's like they had one in-house that almost won them 2 cups, and They traded him for an injury-prone goalie that gave up 5 the other night.
Who's Pittsburgh's GM too? Isn't it Dubas?
Yeah, Kyle Dubas.
Man, Toronto might have wanted a guy that could build a team like that. Man, the shots could be fired all across the league here. It's wild what we're seeing. Some of these teams like not performing when you'd expect them to. It's kind of wild. Hey, the Wings are still doing decent. We'll take it. Yeah, that's your standings update. HL news. The All-Star jerseys were revealed.
Awful.
Thoughts?
Awful. Like, put them in a box and light them on fire. They're awful.
They're never anything to write home about. We'll start with that. Like, they're never like these, wow, these are great. You thought with the 90th year you might get something.
You did. It's just not good.
Kind of went back to an old design, like, you know, like maybe a good one in the years past. Like,
I can't think of an AHL All-Star jersey that's wowed me, honestly. There's been some really ugly ones. Like, these aren't the worst. I'll say they're not the worst that have ever hit the ice.
I mean, there's just no creativity. Like,
no,
none.
There's none at all.
None.
And if you say like the little like screw whatever design to the Screw City for Rockford, if you say that's a creative design, like that was the easiest thing to think of. The front of them is just boring. It's so boring. Like the weird well, right, but the weird NHL like cartoony star ones were better than these. Like, good lord, these just need something. Like the best ones I could think of recently were when they were in San Jose. Those weren't even spectacular, but I remember they at least had some creativity to them.
Do City Connect. Like, figure out stuff within your city that you can tap into. Like the Griffins could do.
It's
beer.
Rockford.
Like the Griffins could do beer theme.
It's Rockford.
I understand, but like maybe don't have it in Rockford.
We'll have that discussion after we've been there, so we don't get removed from there. We'll let you know how it goes. Yeah, it's they're ugly. Other than that, though, around the AHL, you had your Player of the Month and Bradley Nadeau in Chicago. It's not a surprise that this guy is Player of the Month. I mean, you look at the numbers he's been able to put up there. He's been an unreal player for the Chicago Wolves. 13 games that month, 8 goals, 10 assists for 18 points. Fantastic month for him. He's a guy that Carolina is going to be very happy with, I think, once he makes that step to the NHL. He seems to be a really good piece. He fits the play style of the Hurricanes very well. He's just one of those pure goal scorers. That's what he is.
Well, he's got to make it there first. Christ, they're in on every big trade. That's going to be the coveted piece around a big trade. So he's got to make it there
first. Some other team might be very happy with him then. Who knows? If they can get him out of our division before the playoffs, be awesome. Be lovely. Make that happen. But, yep. And then your Player of the Week last week was an interesting one. Matt Dumba. He 2 games played, 1 goal, 5 assists, and a +4 on the week for good old Matt Dumba. They're playing with Wilkes-Barre. And again, just you look at that team and you go, yep, that makes sense. But a veteran guy like that, you don't see in the Player of the Week that often. I think we've seen Dries in there once this year, and you've seen a lot of rookies come through in that. But him stepping up, I know people have their thoughts on him, but sometimes getting down to the AHL humbles you and makes you not maybe as much of a dirty player as you might have been in the NHL. And Nick, I know you mentioned there was something really cool with him too.
He had met a cancer survivor before the game, and he told him, he said, "I'm going to try my hardest. I'm going to score a goal, and I'm going to dedicate it to you." And he ended up rewarding the kid. So good on him, and just a kind of a heart piece moment, right?
You love that
moment for you.
But that's good on him for doing that. It's a cool moment for the league, and that's all we have this week. No other crazy AHL updates. There was a couple of AHL level trades that happened. I know Texas was involved in them, but I don't have the full breakdowns of those. And yeah, that's about it for this week. The Griffins' upcoming schedule, like we mentioned, they're in Milwaukee on Tuesday night. And tonight, the day that this episode will be coming out. And then you got them in Charlotte on Friday and Saturday before the All-Star break. So that's exciting there. Looking forward to the All-Star break. We have one more Griffins episode between now and then, and I'm sure we'll have an All-Star focused episode focused on Sebastian Cossa, John Leonard, and Dominic Shine and Coach Watson as we get to spend some time with them down there in Rockford. Again, really excited for what that week's going to be for us. Hopefully we can bring you guys a ton of fun content. I know we're going to try to just have fun. So if you want to see stuff from that, let us know.
Very excited. Very excited for both of you.
It's going to be fun. We wish you were coming with us, but or wish you had went to Allen at least for the ECHL one. But that's a bit of a hike. I'm excited for what this brings for us for the next couple of years. You look at this one this year. This is our first All-Star game. It's my first time ever attending an All-Star game, period. We get to do it as media with the AHL for this one will be great. And then you look at them being in Cleveland the next year. We should be able to fit that in our schedule too. So hopefully we can make that one happen and get to do that and compare the difference of what an all-star game in Rockford is and an all-star game in Cleveland at Rocket Arena is going to be like. I think there's going to be a stark difference between the two. It's going to be fun though. Just looking forward to all the fun stuff we get to continue to do because of all you wonderful people that watch and listen to us Yahoos talk about hockey. We could not do any of this without you. We could not do it without our sponsors as well. You got DraftKings and Everything Hockey Clothing Company. When you're betting with DraftKings, use code THPN when you're shopping at everythinghockey.com. Use code WEST, helps you a few bucks on your order and also supports the show directly. And of course, we've got to thank our Patreon folks as well at patreon.com/Hockeytown West. If you want to join these lovely people, I think we're going to be reworking the tiers soon. Stay up to date or stay updated or stay tuned. That's the word I'm looking for there. Stay tuned for what the updates will be. We're going to try to make things a little more simple and straightforward for you guys. But the lovely people over there currently are.
We got Randy Zick, Michael Asate, Derek Sleazer, Alan and Lori Fausch, Griffin Not from GR, Elaine Grace, John of Florida, Tyler Ingalls, Darren Swartz, Zach, Peter Grell, Claire Boughton, Joe Schroeder, and D-Boss's D-Boss. Thank you guys for your support.
Guys. Thank you. We appreciate y'all. With that, wrapping this thing up, everybody have a fantastic week. Enjoy the heat wave of mid-20-degree weather in West Michigan. And stay safe, and we'll talk to y'all soon. And as always, go Griffins, go Walleye.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West Podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod and your hosts, Nick at GR Hockey Guy, Brandon at Brandon GR Hockey, and Travis at Trav in T-Town.